The Steelers are 3-2 and sitting atop the AFC North standings here as they head into their bye week in Week 6 of the 2023 NFL season. But how do I see the rest of the season going? I'm going to give you guys my updated Steelers record prediction here on today's edition of Steelers Talk. But before we get into it, get in the comments section and get the ball rolling by answering this question. What is the percent chance that the Pittsburgh Steelers make the 2023 playoffs this year? Put it on a scale of 0 to 100. Give me that percent chance down there in the comments section. So take a look at the Steelers so far, and listen, 3-2, right? You get absolutely trounced by the 49ers, arguably the best team in football right now, 30-7 on your home turf, whatever. All right, but then you're home in Week 2. You squeeze out a win against the Cleveland Browns, 2 defensive touchdowns, 71-yard slant touchdown to George Pickens, right? Lots of things go your way in that football game. Same thing in Week 3. You turn over Jimmy Garoppolo and the Raiders a bunch of times, and you get a little bit of mojo going on offense, 23-18. Then it goes back to square one against the Texans on the road, losing 30-6, an absolute embarrassment. But then you get the Ravens, who absolutely shot themselves in their own face, and you come away with a 17-10 victory. So you're sitting at 3-2. You're at the top of the standings right now. So now let's go over the rest of these games here on the schedule. Starting with Week 7 next week when the Steelers play the Rams on the road, I'm going to say they lose this football game. I think overall the Steelers roster is a lot better, but Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford have this offense rolling. You're going to have to deal with both Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, and I just don't think the Steelers secondary can do that right now. Kenny Pickett and this offense I don't think are going to be able to keep up. On the road as well, I think the Rams come away with the victory in Week 7, and the Steelers go down to 3-3. Then versus the Jaguars at home, right? The Jaguars just beat the Buffalo Bills, man. Very impressive victory. The Jags are looking pretty darn good after 2 double-digit wins in a row. I think that this is a winnable football game because the Jaguars' offensive line isn't all that good, so the Steelers' pass rush might make a major impact, and the Steelers might get the upset at home. But right now I'm going to chalk that up as a loss. Then on Thursday Night Football, playing a really well-coached Titans team. Their offense is struggling right now as well, but I'm also going to say that that's a loss. I think 3 straight losses are coming your way. Now, I will say, I think these 3 games are all winnable for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They could easily win 3 straight in a row here, and you're feeling really good about the Pittsburgh Steelers. However, I think with the Titans, the defense is really good down there in Tennessee, in my opinion. Mike Vrabel's a great defensive coach. I think the Steelers' offense is really going to struggle on Thursday Night Football. And then also the Titans, I'd like Derrick Henry as the running back. The Steelers haven't really been able to stop the run this year. I think Derrick Henry kind of runs all over them, and that's why I have them losing that game as well. But, I think that things are going to get better. You're going to see that as this schedule prediction continues forward. But, hey, if they lose the next 3 games and you go down to what would it be then, 3-5 at that point, would you fire Matt Canada? Would he be fired at that point? Type F if you think he'd be fired after 3 straight losses, or if you think that he's not fired, he's sticking around in Pittsburgh to the end of the season no matter what. Type N for not fired. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. Now in Week 10, after 3 straight losses, you get back in the win column, improve your record to 4-5 with a win over the Packers. I think the Packers, especially on defense, are so poorly run right now. Jordan Love is not it as an NFL quarterback. He's a backup quarterback, in my opinion. I think the Steelers come away with a victory here in Week 10, hopefully with the first week without Matt Canada as the offensive coordinator. And then you go away to the Browns. You go to the Browns, and guess what? I'm going to have them get their second straight victory. I think this is going to be a close game, but I think like we've seen here in the first 5 weeks, when the game is close, Mike Tomlin and his culture shines through, and the Steelers find a way to win the ball game. I'm going to say the Steelers sweep those dreaded Brownies here in 2023. But then you go to the road against the Bengals. I'm going to say they lose that football game. I think that by that point, Joe Burrow is going to be completely healthy, and I don't think the Steelers offense is going to be good enough at that point to really get things going enough to keep up and win a shootout. Then in Week 13 against the Cardinals, that's absolutely a game you should win. Can't fall into the trap right there. You just simply can't. Jonathan Gannon and the Cardinals are still bad, but they're not quite as bad as I thought they were going to be heading into the year. So kudos to Jonathan Gannon, I guess, for that, but not a talented roster at all. Should be a pretty easy victory for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Speaking of easy victories, I don't know if there's ever an easy victory against Bill Belichick, especially when you got a young quarterback, but I'm going to predict the Steelers to win this game. The Patriots look like an absolute dumpster fire right now, even on defense, Bill Belichick's side of the ball. So I think the Steelers are going to win that football game, and until the Patriots prove otherwise, I'm going to chalk that one up as a win. So 3 out of 4 here gets you to over 500 here, 7-6 heading into the home stretch. All right, so even though you take those 3 losses right after the bye, you're still sitting at 7-6. You're still in position to potentially get a playoff spot. So coming up here, I'm going to break down the final 4 games of the Pittsburgh Steelers schedule here for 2023. But before I get into this playoff push, go ahead and check out our friends at BetUS. If you love sports betting, you're going to want to take advantage of this deal. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code Steelers125 for a deposit bonus of 125% today. What that means is you put a deposit of $100 to $600. They're going to match that 125% to use on your bet. So if you put in a $100 deposit, they're going to give you $125 additional dollars to use on your bets. A $225 value for just a $100 investment. If you love sports betting, you're not going to get a better deal than this. So go to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code Steelers125 to get that deposit bonus today. Now down the home stretch here, on the road versus the Indianapolis Colts, I have them losing. Now, the reason why I have them losing is because Shane Steichen has done an incredible job scheming stuff up for that offense. Even the defense looks a lot better than it did last year. So I think it's a really well-coached team. And you look at the Steelers to this point in the season against well-coached teams, San Francisco, Houston, teams that know what they're doing. They lose those football games, especially now that it's going to be on the road. I think Shane Steichen is going to do a good job to scheme things open for his team, and I think it's going to end up in a loss for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then you get to the Bengals here, and I think it's going to be a win. I think you're going to split with the Cincinnati Bengals this year. Big-time win, statement victory for this team, trying to get to a playoff spot here. A big-time victory at home versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Then you travel to the Seahawks. I think it's going to be a loss. I think the Seahawks are a really good a decent football team. I think their defense is a bit overrated right now, but it's really tough to go into Seattle and win. That's just the reality of the situation. The Seahawks are going to be fighting potentially for their playoff lives at that point. 2 very desperate teams. I think the Seahawks are going to come away with the victory there. And then it's going to come down to Week 18. The playoffs may be on the line. And guess what? I have the Steelers sweeping the Baltimore Ravens this year as well. So you go 5-1 in the division, and that's really where you have most of your success if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have them going into Baltimore Week 18. If they need a victory to make the playoffs, I think they get it done. And my final record prediction right now, Coop, is 9-8. I think that right now, I think the ceiling for this team is actually still pretty high. My ceiling is I still think it's going to be 13-4. But then I think the floor is 8-9. I just don't really see Mike Tomlin losing more than 9 games. I think that he's going to get this team to at least league average, at least 500, right, around that area. I think that's the floor. And honestly, right now, with the way the offense is playing, the defense is playing, the defense is giving up I think they're 30th in yards allowed per game right now. That needs to improve. There's still a whole lot that I need to see from this team to really show that confidence. For them to be a team that can win 12, 13 games this year. Right now, I think they're probably on the lower end of their spectrum. 9-8, it'll get you close to playoff contention. Not sure if it'll actually get you there, but it's definitely going to be an interesting rest of this season. Hopefully, Kenny Pickett and this offense can turn things around so I can once again adjust this record prediction. But until I see something different from this offense, I'm going to go with 9-8, and they're going to be right on the precipice of a playoff berth. Now it's your turn. Let me know your official Steelers record prediction down there in the comments section. Put it down there in the comments. I want to see what you guys got, and I can't wait to see how you're feeling about the Pittsburgh Steelers at this point. That's going to be it for me today, guys. Really do appreciate your support. If you want more Steelers content on Twitter, I put up a bunch of stuff on my Twitter at Jack_Sperry, film analysis, injury updates, all that good stuff. If you want additional Steelers content from me on Twitter or X, whatever you guys want to call it. I don't even know what to call it nowadays. Go ahead, go to @Jack_Sperry and give me a follow.